Hello everyone and welcome to this painting tutorial. We will be doing this couples design titled Sailing Love. Here is our pre-sketched canvas. We're going to be using three different paintbrushes, a large, a medium, and a small. Then these are going to be our colors. We have black, white, bright yellow, bright orange, dark blue or phthalo blue, and a light blue, which could also be a light turquoise. You are also going to need a Sharpie. As you can see, we are going to be applying the Sharpie onto our sailing boats only. And we're going to be going over the pencil lines on both of the sailing boats. All right, here we go. Here are both the sailing boats sharpied. Then with our large paintbrush, we're going to go ahead and divide our sun into two halves. The top half is going to be painted with white, and we are going to be adding a little bit of water to help spread that white paint. And as you can see here, we are going to be covering the entire top half with this white mixture. And then without cleaning the brush, we're going to dip it into our bright yellow, and starting from the center upwards, we're going to apply that yellow. First, we want to make sure we cover side to side. And if you want to, you can be neat and stay within the circle. But as you will see here eventually, I'm going to be going outside of the circle just to achieve a nice blend because the background sky is going to be painted over anyways. So here you see me being a little more careless and going outside of the circle. And I am blending that white and yellow. And the reason we started with the yellow in the center upwards is because we want the top part of the circle of the sun to be brighter. So here I added even more white to the top, allowing the very top of the sun to remain the lightest. Then here we're going to rinse our brush, or you can add a little more white if you want, which is what I just did. And this is going to be your preference, depending on how bright you want your sun. All right, now we rinse the brush and we are going to paint the remaining half of the sun yellow, only yellow. So we want to bring it real close to the what would be the center line and bring that yellow downwards. Just pull it downwards until the paintbrush runs out of paint. You will see how the yellow stops coming out, and then we're gonna go and bring that yellow upwards into the light yellow. And we're gonna do that very lightly. We don't wanna go too heavily into the light yellow. It's only as to create a nice gradient in between the two. Rinse the brush, then we're going to dip it into our orange, starting from the very bottom of the horizon line, making sure that we don't go into the water or what's going to be the water. Again, we can go outside of the circle because we're going to paint that sky. Grab a little bit more orange, only orange, and then we make sure we cover the entire bottom of the sun. And once that's covered, then we can go ahead and begin the blending again with the yellow and the orange by going into both of them a little bit, creating that gradient upwards. Very good. This is looking really good. Nice blending. All right, our sun is looking really good. Again, depends on your preference, how warm or light you want your sun to be. You're going to add more orange if you want it warmer. If you want it lighter, add more yellows and whites. Okay. Once we let this dry completely, then we're going to go ahead and start painting on the sky. First, we want to grab our large paintbrush and color white and apply a nice thick layer all the way up to a half of the sky area. Making sure to be really careful on the side of the sun, applying that white everywhere. You want to make sure that the entire half of the sky is completely covered on white. Here I'm just applying the last finishing on the white. And once I do that, then I'm going to wipe off my brush on the napkin and grab orange, just orange by itself. And I'm going to start right from the first half, from the top line, downwards onto the horizon line. This is so that the most orange stays on the top. And as we reach the horizon line, that orange is going to be dissolving more and more until we reach the bottom line of the horizon line. Then it's going to be just barely orange, just like so. So the closest to the horizon line is going to be the lightest or the brightest orange. Very good. Okay, once I am happy with that orange, I'm going to rinse the brush in the water and dip it into the dark blue and start from the very top of the sky, being very extra careful on the sun. We don't want to go into the sun at all, but if it happens, just keep handy a baby wipe or a wet napkin so that you can just wipe it right off. So here I'm applying the dark blue towards the top, and it's just a minimal amount, it's not so much. So then after that, I'm going to wipe off the brush and dip it into my light blue, and I'm going to start right where the orange line begins, upwards. So start from that orange line up into the dark blue. So we're going to apply that light blue all the way up until it meets the dark blue. Being really careful around the sun. We're going to take it all the way. And here you see me blending the two already. So once I have them close to each other, then I can touch both at the same time and then make them blend just like this. Here you see me erasing a little oopsie I did. As you can see, it's super simple. You just grab a little bit of napkin, a wet napkin, and it will help you. Just wipe it right off. All right, so making sure that my sky is nice and blended, I'm going to start making my way into the orange areas of the sky. So making sure that I don't have a lot of blue on my brush, I'm going to start dipping into my orange areas. Again, it's important not to have a big amount of paint on your brush at this point. You're going to just lightly introduce it into the orange and then grab more orange and blend it in between your two, the light orange and the light blue. So this new orange, stronger shade of orange is going to overlap both your light orange and your blue sky. And you want to make sure that it's drastically darker than that light orange. Here I'm just fixing a couple more oopsies as I mentioned earlier, the areas around the sun are very, very delicate. So we must be really careful. Okay, so this is looking really good. We're finishing this side. Next, we will do the same exact thing on the other side. All right, so next I want to show you how to do these next strokes with our large brush, making sure that it's nice and clean and a flat tip. We want to load it with yellow. Notice how I'm making this thin stroke and a thick stroke. We don't want to do the thick one. We want to do the thin one, just like those, nice and thin. And grabbing that yellow just by itself, we're gonna add those thin lines onto our sun. We just want to make him a little bit more dramatic, a little more drama to that sunset. And this yellow is gonna start from the bottom of the sun, just light strokes, almost as if you're doing dashes with that yellow. And you'll see how the yellow pops against the orange. Okay, nice yellow stripes. Next, we're going to rinse the brush and dip into our white. And we're gonna add that white very lightly. We're gonna add it to the top of the sun and also towards the center, just like you see here. Next, we are going to add some last finishing touches to the sky by blending our light blue with some white. You want about equal parts white with blue. Blend them together. And we're going to use that now to use the thick strokes with that big brush, not the thin one. Now we're going to do the thick strokes, and we're going to start from the top of the sky, doing these patches of paint. Real choppy, real patchy. All right, so next we're going to be working on the water. We're going to start from the right, moving into the center of the painting. And it's going to be with the large brush and dark blue. Now here I made another oopsie. The key is to remain calm and act quick and just wipe it right off and keep working. I want you to pay attention to the shape and how I squiggle this line all the way down to the bottom, almost in a pyramid-like shape. Then I'm going to fill it all in, still with the dark blue. All right, once we are done with that, we are going to rinse the brush very nicely, making sure we don't have any dark blue on it. Sometimes it helps if we tap real hard at the bottom of the cup, just to make sure that all the color comes off. Now we're going to dip our large brush into the light blue, and we will do something similar where we're going to start right here by the sailing boat, and we will do the same wobbly line all the way down to the bottom in a diagonal shape. And then again, we're gonna fill it in, but this time we're not going to go all the way to the right. We're just gonna stay a little bit away from the blue. So as we fill in our entire light blue area all the way down to the bottom, we will not be touching the dark blue. We want to make sure that we stay away from it. You notice how I'm leaving a little space all the way along to the bottom. So once I've reached the bottom, then I'm going to make my way upwards. And then I do want to touch my dark blue. And this is where the two begin to get along with each other. You will see how the dark goes into the light and the light goes into the dark. And you're gonna do that all the way upwards. And then eventually you're going to start creating your own water style. Your water is going to look different than your partner's, but that's what this design is all about. We want to showcase both personalities within one painting. Yes, you can synchronize with your partner to make sure that you guys have the same shades and whatnot, but ultimately the strokes are all going to be unique. And you want to keep blending your dark into your light, always making sure to keep that diagonal light, the diagonal line, and that diagonal line will determine where your light blue and where your dark blue begins. So here, even though I'm going with the light blue into the dark blue, I'm still keeping that diagonal line. That is very important. Once I'm happy with it, I'm going to rinse the brush, making sure that I don't have any blue on it. But as you can see here, I'm lightly introducing my new shades. It's creating new shades of blue, and it's a lot of fun. I recommend that you play with these shades without any fear. The only thing to keep in mind is that you want these strokes to be as straight as possible. Short, choppy strokes, and you will be fine. All right, so now that the brush is nice and clean and fresh, we're gonna grab just white. And then this time we're going to be blending it into the light blue as we go downwards. So we do want to touch our blue as we are making our way downwards because that's what's going to give us the light blue, the very, very light blue that we're looking for. So you will end up with a super light blue, a light blue, and then a darker blue. So you will have three shades of blue within your part of the sea, within your part of the ocean. And again, the most important part is to keep that diagonal line and to keep your strokes horizontally, as horizontally as you can. All right, you guys, this is looking great. This ocean water is looking beautiful. Next, we're going to make it a little bit darker, closer to the forefront. So on both of the corners, I'm gonna add a very, 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 very small amount of black, like super very little. And I'm going to apply it right here towards the corner and do the same thing on the other corner, making sure that the black blends into the blue. Alrighty, guys. Notice how we add that darker corner, and that gives us a little bit of depth, a little perception to the water. Okay, so now we are going to blend white with yellow using the medium brush. And what we're going to do with this mixture is we're going to be adding the sun reflections onto the water using that medium brush. Once our mixture is nicely blended, we're going to add small choppy strokes that are horizontal all the way around and beneath the sailing boats. And again, we want to keep that diagonal shape. It essentially is going to create kind of like a triangle. It closes in as it gets closer to the bottom. And once we're done with this, we are going to rinse the brush and do the same thing with the orange. So rinse the brush. Now we go into the orange and we are going to blend it with that same light yellow mixture. And that's going to give us a light orange, which we are going to use to do the same. Now filling in some of those areas that were left without yellow. You can overlap some of those yellows with the oranges. Some areas you want to do just orange and so on. Next, we are going to be painting the boats using our small brush and being really, really careful. We're going to create the outline for each one of the shapes of the boat. For example, for the actual boat right here, using the little brush in color black, I'm going to create an outline. Once that outline has been created, then I'm going to dip my small brush, so the same brush without rinsing, into the dark blue. With that dark blue, I'm going to fill in the entire boat, slightly getting that brush to touch the outline so that the blending begins to happen. So as you can see, the blue is going to go in the center, but very lightly I touch the black outline as to getting a little bit of that black to blend. And then it's going to be the same thing with all of the shapes of the boat. But it is important to do the steps in each shape by shape. So you don't want to go and do all the outline for all of them at the same time because you want the paint to be fresh and wet so you can do the blending. Okay, so finish one and then wipe off the brush, and you're going to dip it into the white, and you're going to start to bring in a little bit of shading that is lighter onto the side of the boat with the white. The white is very minimal. Start little by little so that you can reveal those blues. And then we're gonna allow a little bit of the darkness to remain on the left side of the boat. And just like this, each shape is going to be the same. All right, you guys, all of the shapes in our sailing boats are looking really good. And then next we're going to rinse that brush and making sure that we don't have any more black or blue on it and dip it into the white. Now we're going to be adding some detail onto the sun. These dash-like strokes onto the sun. They don't have to be a full line, they could be dashes, but you want to make sure that you do curvature, the same curvature of the sun. So you want to follow that along on both sides. From here on, we are going to be doing a lot of highlights with that little brush. Now we're going to be doing some highlights onto the water. You want to make squiggly lines just like this. You could also use the medium brush to go a little quicker, a little faster, but you can try both and it's totally up to you which one you want to keep. All right, next we're going to be adding highlights onto the sailing boats. And that is it, you guys. This finishes our painting session. Good job, you guys. Thank you for participating in this couples painting session. I hope you guys had a blast, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.